When I was in school, my favorite class was hands down computer lab. From the start, we played games like Reader Rabbit and Math Blaster, back in first grade, and there was plenty of other games I'm sure I can't remember the name of. While these games may not have been the traditional version of what someone thinks of as a game, the fact that I was playing computer games in school blew my little mind away. However, it was when I entered middle school that I really delved into the world of Flash games. When I was younger, Flash games were an artifact, something to uncover. I remember being 4 or 5 years old and staying up late night with my brothers to browse Flash sites like Newgrounds. The internet was the Wild West when I was a kid, and pretty much anything went when it came to what you could upload. This led to me seeing a bunch of shit I probably shouldn't have seen when I was that young, but nevertheless. We would play the classics: Kill Osama, Kill Britney Spears, Kill Celebrity Name Here, the torture game, pretty heinous shit. Once we got a PS2, that all pretty much stopped, and we didn't really mess with PC games for a while after that. We had the beauty of the ease of popping in a disc and watch the machine do its job. I continued to play games almost exclusively on home consoles until I entered middle school. We were given access to pretty much anything the internet had to offer. However, certain sites were blocked, and I soon felt like I entered a new frontier of finding games. There were a few sites where we were able to get the computer lab teacher to unblock them, but Newgrounds was a no-go. Now, there were the standard cool math games sites, but I wasn't satisfied with playing another minute of edutainment. I was finally a teen, and I was gonna play whatever the hell I wanted. So I started exploring, and I found sites like Congregate and Armor Games. These sites were loaded down with fun, addicting games, and they were also loaded with multiplayer games the whole class could get in on. Not only were these great games to play in school, but they were some of my first real multiplayer experiences without bad internet to get in my way. These games not only gave me a break from the high school monotony, it brought me closer to lots of classmates I never would have talked to otherwise. Flash games were easy to share, whether through link or by word of mouth, and usually, most of the class would be playing the same games together. So what pulled us away from that?
Twist.
Adobe Flash was released in 1996, and in 2000 its own programming language was introduced, and Newgrounds released later that same year. Newgrounds was a sharing site for all the new Flash titles people were creating. It was a renaissance of online digital art and the community surrounding art. So many creators got their start in Newgrounds. Some notable original Newground users include Chris O'Neill of Oni Plays and Zach Hadel of Smiling Friends.
This is gonna be great, Charlie. I love helping kids. I love kids, Charlie. I love kids.
Pim, I would really not be screaming that at the top of your lungs.
You also have Tom Fulp, who not only founded Newgrounds, but the Behemoth Game Studios, which you might recognize as the creators of Castle Crashers, Alien Hominid, or BattleBlock Theater. People now had a great way to connect with each other for collaboration on projects and to form studios and groups. This allowed people to bypass the normal routes for being a game dev and could string together a group to make their own games. Flash allowed concepts to be easily tested before going into full-scale development. A Google dev named Parizat Tabriz published a stat that Flash dropped from 80% of user browsers to 8% between 2014 and 2018. In 2018, Adobe announced they would be discontinuing Flash. This transition can be attributed to a few factors. Steve Jobs wrote a paper about how unstable and easy it is to breach Flash. And in 2010, he encouraged developers to move away with new designs. Modern smartphones just wouldn't support Flash, and because of this, a lot of Flash creators dropped Flash in favor of developing for consoles or smartphones. This inspired the release of HTML5, which was pretty much better than Flash Player in every way. It's safer, more efficient, and allows developers to distribute a wider variety of games and videos, including full 3D games that can be played in the browser. Unfortunately, Adobe completely blocked Flash Player, so any game that wasn't converted to HTML5 on a website was rendered unplayable. However, a few plugins like Supernova and Ruffle were made to emulate Flash to make most of the games playable again, but I still found a few that I couldn't get to work, most of them being online multiplayer games. I've been seeing people call it the death of Flash, and they speak about it as if it's impossible to play games on a browser anymore. It's completely possible, and I'd even argue the selection of games to play now are even better than they ever were. There's even games that got their start being an in-browser HTML5 game before going on to become a successful console release. So is it really the death of Flash that ruined the experience? Friday Night Funkin' released in 2020. It sparked a bit of that Newgrounds era nostalgia and encouraged the collaboration of artists to make their own mods and songs for the game. It really brought out a discussion about how great Newgrounds community was, and for a little bit it felt like we'd stay there. People were leaving Twitter and going back to their Newgrounds, but after a while it died out, which kinda seems like how everything goes on the internet these days. Something inspiring or controversial happens, talks of change happen, and then nothing happens. Life goes on as normal. This got me thinking, was it really the death of Flash that took away the magic of browser games? Or is it the death of a tight-knit online community that shares and uplifts other creators? People still have their own communities, but it feels like there's no more encouragement to share what you made or seek out help. Discord servers will have art channels, but it often feels like it's just a space to post something and have a mandatory "good job." I'm sure there are Discord servers that handle their community better, but the majority of the ones I've seen have felt this way, and I'm not sure what's different. I'm not an expert in community building, but some of the most successful people out there today are not there because they tried to fit in with a group, but because they went out and made their own group. And so I just want to leave everybody with this. Get your friends together and make something. And if you don't have any friends you want to make anything with, then make something by yourself and throw it out there and keep an open mind. Hear what people have to say about it. And don't let anybody bust your balls.